Hey everyone, Harry here to talk about a pretty big decision in North Carolina, which has been at the center of an ongoing 2024, the last election still to be determined in the country, because the losing Republican candidate has been, along with Republicans nationwide and a Republican kind of state political apparatus, trying to add on votes or disqualify votes, change votes after the election. It's been remarkable. I've talked about it at different stages, but essentially we had an election that went for the Democrat narrowly, about 800 votes for Judge Riggs. A recount narrowly for Judge Riggs. Another recount narrowly for Judge Riggs. At which point, the losing Republican candidate, and it's gone on for months now, has been trying to say, guess what? Here's some votes that you counted, but you can't. And here are some others that you voted, but you can't. And the North Carolina Supreme Court, in really what would be just an astonishing heist in real time. We had a whole long article about this last week on the Substack, was partially endorsing the Republican candidate's view, saying, all right, there are these 60,000 votes that you say weren't properly procedurally presented. We can't just do that wholesale an effort. But there's this smaller number of votes from veterans, among others, where you say the form of ID is faulty. You say it now. Nobody said it then. And moreover, you're saying it now only as to certain Democratic strongholds. That is, they're bringing this challenge, and he's saying this part of the state, that part of the state, that part of the state, you need to invalidate certain votes. And the North Carolina Supreme Court agrees with that in principle. So they were about to undertake partial recounts of Democratic strongholds for reasons that are after the election already was over and a final count was established, 3 times. For anyone old enough to remember the butterfly ballot from Teresa Lepore in Bush v. Gore in 2000. Everyone knew it was wrong, but it was too late to do anything about it. Maybe we can go back and re-adjudicate that one and retroactively declare Al Gore the winner of the 2000 election. It's at least the same principle. They want to go back and revisit. And the deck was getting stacked in plain sight. You have, we don't normally pay super close attention to state Supreme Court races, but this one has been different, most expensive in the country, and all the sort of election gurus, like Mark Elias, have been sounding the alarm as loud as they can, including me. And again, you can look back on the Friday Substack and the my own words, but also the guest entry from Rich Bernstein, who points out how unbelievably unfair this would be to do it after the fact and disproportionately for Democrats. Okay. Enter the federal court. So at this point, before the actual readjustment has occurred, but after the North Carolina Supreme Court says it can, the so far winning Democratic candidate goes to the federal courts and says they are in the process of depriving me and also their voters. We don't have to talk about standing because she has it, of due process, equal protection, and a whole bunch of other voting specific claims. And yesterday, the federal court, the district court in Raleigh, North Carolina, Judge Myers issues a 60-page methodical opinion that goes through a lot, but basically says, are you kidding me? You may not change the terms of an election after it was already done. And, as he puts it, does the federal Constitution permit a state to alter the rules of an election after the fact and apply those changes retroactively to only a select group of voters and treat those voters differently. That would be the Democratic voters than other similarly situated individuals. Just to state this question as he does, pretty well decides it. And the Republicans will try to change how it's presented. But if that way of looking at it prevails, you have to imagine so will the decision and going up now from a district court to the Court of Appeals, potentially the Supreme Court. Let me just say it again. Does the federal Constitution permit a state to alter the rules of an election after the fact and apply these retroactive changes to only basically Democrats disproportionately, or people in particular portions of the state? And, he, though goes through everything, still is able to, make that one pretty clear. So it looks as if, they'll now go to the Court of Appeals, the Federal Court of Appeals, but right now it's on track for Riggs finally to secure victory and win this latest election of all. But you're having a fight from, the internal North Carolina folks, like the Supreme Court, which has a 5-2 Republican majority, is dishing out some home, cooking, really kind of slanting the game. That should be over now. We should be in the federal courts, and we'll see how I think it's the Fourth Circuit above North Carolina and potentially the U.S. Supreme Court. But it's just a pretty clear-cut instance of changing the rules after the game, applying them disproportionately to just a few voters. I cannot see how a federal court can fail to see that fundamental injustice. And it looks to me like the tracks are greased, as it were, for Justice Allison Riggs to take her pivotal seat on the North Carolina Supreme Court. Obviously, the Republicans don't think so yet. They're going to fight hard, but that's a tough road to hoe. Oh, it's okay to change the rules after and only apply it to Democrats. So we'll see. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.